And hello and hi, good afternoon, everyone. This fine Thursday afternoon. My name is Steve, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. Before we get into it, quick housekeeping. We have plenty of questions of our own, plenty from the audience. But if you do have any further questions, do please drop them in the chat, and I'll endeavor to get to them if I can throughout today's market intelligence brief, which is titled the first 180 days, when and why technically successful SAP programs fail. I'm looking forward to this one today. So what is that? What are we going to cover today? So we're going to explore how we challenge the traditional project-centric mindset that treats S/4HANA as a one-off deployment, drawing on industry insights and real world transformation experience. We're going to explore why value leakage occurs post go live and what leading organizations are doing differently to prevent it. Who's going to be talking today on this subject? We're going to hear from Derek Excel, an enterprise software leader advising C-suite executives on SAP Cloud and AI strategy. As for NRI, they provide end-to-end SAP advisory, licensing, implementation, as well as local support. Derek, welcome today. Good to have you. Looking forward to today's chat. Look, let's jump straight into it. Let's kick off with this one. So why do so many SAP programs that are technically successful at go live fail to deliver the business value they promised?
Yeah, look, thank you for the warm words of welcome, Steve. I do appreciate it. Before I answer that question, I'd like to sort of address four main areas that we see across the SAP market that are challenges that a customer needs to address before they even start their cloud ERP journey, because programs rarely fail because of the technology itself. They fail typically in the operational execution around it. So the first of the four is usually a strong lack of customer-side project ownership and governance, where decisions, accountability, and the business engagement weaken over time. Second is poor data readiness, with organizations underestimating the effort required to cleanse, structure, and govern data before implementation begins. The third is a failure to define the business outcomes up front, particularly the KPI frameworks, analytics, reporting, and increasingly AI-driven insights the organization expects from the platform post-go live. And finally, many organizations still underinvest in the operational change management, adoption, and continuous enablement, which is why capabilities such as SAP WalkMe and structured post-go live engagements are becoming increasingly more important to sustain that value realization long term after hypercare ends. Now, to circle back to your original question around failing to deliver, the short answer is that many organizations confuse their technical completion with business transformation. So most SAP programs are measured heavily on whether the system went live on time, on budget, and without major disruptions. But go live is really the starting line, not the finish line. What we often see is that implementation phase focuses intensely on configuration, testing, integrations, and cutover readiness, but far less attention is given to operational adoption, the process discipline, benefit ownership, and of course, a continuous optimization once the project team exits. The business case usually promises outcomes like improved forecasting, working capital optimization, procurement efficiency, automation, faster decision-making, or improved customer responsiveness. But those outcomes don't materialize automatically just because S/4HANA is technically operational. In reality, value leakage starts almost immediately after go live, when execution attention moves elsewhere, executives aren't focused on the outcomes of the project governance dissolves, hypercare ends, process ownership becomes unclear, and the organization slips back into old behaviors. The organizations that succeed treat S/4HANA as an operating model transformation, not an IT deployment. So at NRI, one of the things we strongly advocate is shifting the conversation away from did we go live successfully towards did the business fundamentally change how it operates and measures value, because this is ultimately what determines success.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Look, so what typically starts to break down in the first 90 to 180 days post go live, Derek?
So what typically breaks down 90 to 100 days post go live? The first 6 months are usually where reality collides with the original business case, and that's usually quite a shock. Initially,
Mm.
during hypercare, everyone is highly engaged. There are war rooms, daily stand-ups, rapid issue escalation and resolution, execution visibility. But when hypercare winds down, several things commonly start to degrade. So the first is process discipline. Users begin creating workarounds because they're under operational performance and pressure. Spreadsheet usage starts creeping up in some areas, and manual approvals return. People bypass standardized workloads because they're trying to get the job done quickly, not follow what's best practice or what's been brought in through the learning period of the actual project itself. Second is
Yeah.
ownership ambiguity. So there's a couple of key points, I think, if I remember clearly. So there's, second is ownership ambiguity. During the project, accountability is clear, but post go live, organizations struggle with actually who owns the optimization, reporting, accuracy, the master data or the master data governance, and of course, continuous process improvement. So how do we engage with the systems integrator or the partner that delivered the actual platform or the environment to keep that user engagement up. Third is capability fatigue. So teams are exhausted after major transformation programs. The business often assumes the hard work is over, when in reality, the adoption and optimization phase is just beginning. And of course, fourth is data quality deterioration. If governance isn't maintained, master data and quality starts drifting surprisingly quickly, which impacts the reporting confidence, forecasting accuracy, and look, automation outcomes, especially when you're dealing with AI as well. If you don't have that reliability on your data, then a lot of the reporting can be impacted. The strongest
Yeah.
organizations deliberately design like the post go live operating model before go live even occurs. They establish like business process owners, KPI accountability, governance forums, and continual improvement functions early on.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Like, fair amount to unpack there. Some nice, Derek. So where do organizations most commonly lose visibility on benefits tracking after implementation?
Oof. So, oh, geez, I'd say this is one of the biggest challenges that enterprise transformations engage with. So, or come up against. During the business case phase, organizations usually define expected benefits very clearly. So they'll say like reduced inventory holding, faster month-end close, procurement savings, automation gains, workforce productivity improvements, reduced technical debt, and of course, better customer responsiveness, right? But after go live, there's often no formal mechanism to continue measuring whether those benefits are actually being realized. So the project closes. PMOs dissolve, like the project management office will dissolve on both sides of the customer and the delivery uh, partner. Consultants will exit, and then the business transitions into a BAU mode or business as usual mode. What disappears is the structure, benefit, accountability. There's no real outcomes that are managed from there. In many organizations, no single executive remains accountable for providing whether the transformation delivered the promised return on investment 12 months later. And high performance organizations treat benefit realization as an executive governance function, not a project artifact. They continue measuring operational KPIs, financial outcomes, adoption metrics, automation rates, exception handling, and of course, business cycle efficiencies. So importantly, they are connected. They connect SAP metrics to business metrics. So yeah, that distinction matters enormously. So I'll just say that again. Importantly, they connect the SAP metrics to the business metrics. It's very important. So for example, it's not enough to say the workflow is enabled. The real question is, did the approval cycle time reduce by 40% and improve supplier responsiveness? That's where mature organizations separate themselves, I guess.
Yeah, nice. Good insights there. So, Derek, why do you think user adoption plateaus so quickly once hypercare ends, and how do, I guess, leading companies prevent it?
User adoption. So because most organizations just underestimate the behavioral side of transformation, or the psychology, hypercare creates intensity and support. Users know help is available. You've got this massive team that comes to your table. Everyone's keen to jump in and help, and that help is immediately there. But once the support structure disappears, users often revert toward familiar behaviors, especially under operational pressure. Many training programs are also too system-centric. Users are taught transactions, they are not taught outcomes. People don't naturally care about a new SAP screen. They care about making decisions faster, reducing their effort, improving customer outcomes, or avoiding operational pain. Leading organizations focus heavily on role-based enablement and continuous adoption, not just initial training. They invest in business champions, embedded process leaders, ongoing learning, analytics visibility, and of course, executive reinforcement. So it's so important. I mean, I've seen that across CRM, ERP, and a number of different areas where executive reinforcement is so important across enterprise assets applications. So one thing we increasingly see with SAP's AI direction, though, and Joul's capabilities, is the ability to reduce friction in user interaction with enterprise systems together. The future just isn't just better ERP, it's more intuitive ERP. But organizations still need operational leadership and cultural reinforcement to drive sustained adoption, because that's where it'll fall over if it doesn't all come together as one.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, okay. So how how should executives, Derek, be thinking about S4 HANA differently as a platform rather than a project?
Yeah. I think this is probably, again, one of the most important mindset shifts happening in the SAP market right now. Historically, ERP was viewed as a major once every 15-year implementation project, large capital program, a big bang deployment, then stabilize and maintain. But S4HANA, particularly in cloud environments, changes that model completely. Executives need to think about S4HANA as a digital business platform that continuously evolves. SAP is now delivering embedded AI, analytics automation, process intelligence, sustainability reporting, and industry capabilities at a much faster cadence. So the real question then becomes how does the organization continuously absorb the innovation, because it's happening continuously, not how do we finish the project. The organizations generating the most value are building transformation capability into their operating model itself. They expect continuous optimization, continuous release adoption, and continuous process refinement. And that's coming through their entire business, not just on a delivery of software or services. That requires a different governance mindset from leadership. The ERP platform or the cloud ERP platform really becomes a strategic business capability, not just a finance system.
Right, okay. So yeah, so what role does SAP Business Technology Platform actually play in sustaining the long-term value, and why is it often underutilized?
BTP. So SAP's business technology platform is probably one of the most strategic, important solutions platforms, but also most understood parts of the SAP ecosystem. It's the glue that makes everything work. A lot of organizations still see SAP purely as transactional ERP, but BTP is really the innovation extensibility layer that allows organizations to continuously evolve their business capabilities. So let me spell it out. It enables workflow automation, application extension, data integration, AI enablement, and process orchestration. And of course, it's critical with the clean core innovation. The reason it's often underutilized or not understood is that many projects are still heavily focused on the initial ERP deployment. Organizations exhaust budget, time, change capacity, and simply getting core ERP operational. Then innovation gets deferred. What leading organizations are doing differently is designing for post-go live innovation from day one. They'll ask questions like, what processes should remain differentiated? What should we automate? Where can AI create value? And more importantly, how do we preserve clean core principles while still enabling innovation? That's where BTP becomes extremely powerful. And increasingly, this is where organizations will differentiate competitively, not from simply having ERP, but from how intelligently they extend their operations and utilize BTP through that.
Yeah. Fair amount to unpack here, Derek. Some great insights. So where do you most often see gaps between what is scoped in the business and or the business case and what's actually realized?
Whew. The most common gap is usually organizational readiness versus technical readiness. So the
Mm.
system may technically support best practice processes, but the business itself often hasn't fully adapted operationally, culturally, or structurally. That's a lot of barriers with that when that comes to the market. So another major gap is around data maturity. Many business cases assume high quality data, standardized processes, and look, a strong governance already exists. But in reality, organizations often discover these things require far more effort than anticipated, and it usually comes out through the discovery session before the project's about to start, which it should be planned for well in advance. We also see gaps around decision velocity. Modern ERP creates transparency very quickly, but if leadership structure remains slow or siloed, organizations don't fully capitalize on the insights available. Look, and finally, many business cases underestimate the effort required to sustain transformation momentum after implementation. So transformation fatigue is real. Operational pressure returns quickly, and without executive reinforcement, which I've noted a couple of times previously, optimization programs and indeed any sort of ERP transformation will fail and will stall.
Yeah, yeah, smart words there. Um, so Derek, we got a few more to go. How do high performing organizations embed continuous optimization into BAU rather than treating it as a separate initiative?
Good question. The best organizations operationalize transformation capability itself. So what do I mean by that? They don't create a cliff where the project ends and BAU begins. So instead, they'll establish process councils, optimization roadmaps, governance forums, release management capability, and dedicated business ownership structures. Importantly, optimization becomes part of the operational KPIs, not optional project work. Business leaders are measured not just on running operations, but on continuously improving them. We're also seeing more organizations create cross-functional digital enablement teams, which combines uh, key areas such as business process expertise, analytics, automation, AI, and of course, the SAP platform capability. The integrated approach is becoming increasingly important as enterprise technology evolves faster.
Yeah, okay. Right. Okay, so we'll get um God, I've got so many questions. So we'll get two more. Let's just touch on the ROI. So what governance or accountability structures are critical in the first, say, 6 months to protect the ROI?
First 6 months to protect ROI. So the first requirement is, again, is executive ownership beyond IT. ERP transformations cannot become an isolated technology function after go live. There must be clearly defined business owners accountable for process performance, adoption, data quality, and benefits realization. Second is a structured governance cadence. So leading organizations continue to execute steering reviews, post-go live focused specifically on KPI performance, adoption trends, business outcomes, optimization priorities, and emerging risks. Third is really maintaining architectural discipline. Without governance, organizations quickly accumulate complexity, customizations, and technical debt. And finally, organizations need a roadmap beyond stabilization. The worst thing that can happen post go live is strategic drift. The organizations extracting the most value already know what their next 12 to 24 months of optimization and innovation looks like before they even go live.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Okay, nice, nice. So, Derek, we'll finish on this one today. Um, if you were assessing an S4 HANA program at the 6 or 12 months mark, uh, what metrics would tell you whether it's truly succeeding or quietly failing?
Yeah, okay. So look, I would look beyond the technical metrics very quickly. System uptime and ticket volumes matter, but they don't tell you whether the transformation succeeded. I'd focus on five areas, like first, business outcomes metrics. Did forecast accuracy improve? Did working capital improve? Did procurement savings materialize? Did operational cycle times reduce? Second, adoption indicators. Are users operating inside the design processes, or are spreadsheets and shadow systems returning? Third, data trust. Do executives trust the reporting enough to make decisions from it? That's a huge indicator. Often have that feedback when we have meetings on the first set of board K reports that we generate. And of course, innovation velocity. So has the organization continued evolving post go live, or has everything stalled in maintenance mode? And finally, executive management. Again, I've harped on this one probably about 5 times this session. If leadership has stopped discussing transformation outcomes 6 months after go live, that's usually a warning sign. The strongest S4HANA programs become progressively more valuable over time. The weakest ones stabilize technically, but plateau operationally. So, look, that's the major difference between implementing software and genuinely transforming an enterprise.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, that's all we get time for. A lot of valuable information there, Derek. It's a great insights. I appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you for your time today to chat us through that. And I want to thank everybody who's on here today for taking time out of their busy day to join us. We will reach out to everyone over the next week or two to thank you in person and gather your feedback. And at that stage, if you are interested in having a chat with the team here at NRI, we can schedule it in during that call. But until then, we wish you a fine farewell and enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. Thank you, Derek.
Thanks
Goodbye.
so much, Ben. Bye.
You're welcome.